Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be going over the markets, right? How did the weekly candles close? What does that mean? Where can price end up for many coins? We are going to be breaking everything down. First of all, I'm going to start off with Bitcoin dominance and then Bitcoin because it's going to be relevant. And then those two are going to be really relevant for your altcoins. So make sure to keep up and listen. First of all, for me, I believe that Bitcoin dominance will be at the minimum retracing to roughly this 60% area to 60.5, right? So anywhere between this bottom over here to roughly this order block right over here is where I believe Bitcoin dominance will be dropping off. The good news is, ladies and gentlemen, right? Not only do I see this dropping off, but I also see Bitcoin going back up, at least for the short term, 100%. Now, we do need more confirmation as of this recording, but at this current moment, just know things aren't looking that bad when it comes to Bitcoin, right? This is Bitcoin's future, right? The CME, which we do talk about because now I realize, ladies and gentlemen, there's a big gap at $78,000, but it doesn't necessarily have to get filled, right? Even if it gets filled roughly 85 to 90%, that can still technically count. Now, I'm not a market maker, so I can't officially verify that it is 100%, confirmed that it's filled, unless I'd literally see it all filled for myself, right? So like that's the only way I can guarantee is if price did go back down here, then I can guarantee you that it's been filled because obviously price went into the gap. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, right? We could be seeing a decent retracement because we are playing off of this big area over here. And we could very well pull back to roughly $86,000. Now, that doesn't mean we are in the clear right away with altcoins and everything right away, because over here we do see a big support and resistance, right? This was happening over the weekend, and then pretty much Sunday afternoon we started to crash. So we could see a pullback here, and the reason why I say here is because when we go to the CME Bitcoin futures, we see a gap pretty much roughly around $86,000. Now, the price isn't identical. This is $150 off, but pretty much if we went to 86,000, it would make sense because that is where not only is there the gap on the CME chart, but is also a big resistance. Now, here's the thing, right? Just because we even go all the way up here, that doesn't necessarily mean we are back in being bullish, okay? That doesn't necessarily mean that. We'd have to see more confirmation, and we would actually have to break the structure for me to even see that. And in fact, even on the micro level, we probably would have to see something like this where we overtake the structure of 83,000, then have another pullback, and then continue going up, smashing this, and then just going higher, right? Something like this doesn't literally have to be perfect, but more or less that's what I would expect. Also, if we go to, any other coin, I do expect a big decent retracement if that were to be the case, but that doesn't necessarily mean we are bullish once again, okay? We can see that this candle over here, let's say for render, which is going to be relevant for pretty much most coins, right? This red candle, look how big and red it is and where it closed. It closed at roughly $3. It started at $4.44 and it closed at roughly $3. And the difference between this candle compared to price action before is that when price was here at one point, it rejected and closed way higher, right? It closed higher, right? We can see multiple rejection points and then went higher. This time around, this price action closed all the way down here. So what I expect for most coins, including render, is probably some type of pullback to roughly $4.17 to $4.20 before we continue selling off. Now, unless some big news comes out, unless something changes dramatically, I don't expect things to be going crazy just yet. I will say, right, when we go to the news, which is very important, this is not really going to impact the markets too crazy. None of this could impact price action temporarily. CPI is kind of big for America, but I don't expect anything to be too crazy. Again, this stuff a little bit, nothing too crazy. This stuff not too much again. But next week, ladies and gentlemen, right? Next week, I do believe there is big news. Exactly. FOMC, federal funds rate. So if the rate cuts do get lowered, if things do change with the economy, then we could very well be bullish. Okay, we could be bullish, be good bullish news. Every time there's rate cuts, that means historically Bitcoin has seen some kind of retracement, some kind of pump, and it's been looking good. But that is roughly 2 weeks from now. Okay, that is roughly two weeks from now. So, things could change. This bias doesn't have to necessarily play out right away because the news can be really, really positive. And then there's a chance that we do take over and continue to go higher. Okay, got to remember though, for a majority of the coins or every coin, when we go and look, that this is a 3-month candle, which includes March, February, and January. I don't know why I went backwards, but these 3 months. So this candle most likely won't end as anything big in terms of rejection or instant green flip. That is just the reality. It would be very nice if March were to eventually flip and end up somewhere, let's say for render back in $4.50, $5, $6, because that would be a very big rejection. And I would call that pretty much a blast off candle, right? When you get usually historically a big 3-month rejection candle or monthly rejection candle or 6-month rejection candle, that usually means you're about to be, exploding over the next couple of weeks to months. However, I don't expect that to necessarily happen, but who knows, maybe mid to late March when the news is positive, things for like render could turn around, right? We could see price go down to here, and then maybe by the end of March, we might be back to roughly $5. And that would be actually really, really good for us. That would be really, really good for us. Same thing with Caspa, right? I expect Caspa to hit its goal. Well, unfortunately, it's the opposite way, but 4 cents to 5 cents, right? That is the range we could see. Same thing. Candles closing absolutely strong to the downside. So I don't expect anything crazy to happen with Caspa. If something will happen, probably be a pullback upwards of maximum 9 cents more or less before we would continue going down. Okay, that is just the reality. That is just the state of the market. If we go to something like Turbo, won't cover it too much, but it's going to be the same thing, right? We could very well pull back up temporarily before we reject off of this huge weekly support and go lower, right? That is just a more or less story that we have. I marked up multiple zones for many coins that I already, talked about in the private community weeks ago, where I was looking at, and now they're just becoming more and more of a reality, right? On though to like 65, 70 cents. Other coins also reaching their zones. Okay. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it is the end, because for some coins, this is technically going to be, especially if we hold, like, let's say for DIA, for example, this could very well be a higher low if we hold this, right? Even though it's not the prettiest, it could technically be one where we have this low over here, high, right? We had this previous high, and we are just going back up, right? We are just going back up. So we'll have to see. We'll have to monitor everything. But that is pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very red weekly closes for all these coins. Make sure don't over leverage. I'm personally going to be adjusting my game plan. I have a game plan, and I'm going to be executing it. So pretty exciting times. Make sure you have a game plan too. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.